Okay. So this one. Now, this gives an overview of what is involved in doing online research. And I'm sure you know from and learned it from our website that we do a lot of research work. And we are the ones that is really chasing after Google search operators to look at how they behave. The behavior of search engine is very important for us because that's where we plug our information sets. Um, so we try to understand the pulse of how Google works, and if uh, there is a bit of technology part that we need to understand, it's only because we want to make sure that we are using the right search operators, or we are developing or designing a format of a query that would actually be able to get to the exact precise web pages that we require. So that's the reason why we'll be doing a little bit of a technology part. It's not as complicated as it might seem to some of you, but when you look at it in more detail in the book, you should be able to understand it. Even if then you have a problem, and addressing those who are not coming from the technology background in particular. So you can always ask questions, or you can send me an email if there is a problem there. So let's look at this chart first. It's just illustrating how the search, or the generally how we approach an online search. Online search is not just building the search queries. There is other tools or utilities that we use, which is shown here. There is browser tools, which you're familiar with, I'm sure. Internet search tools. These are, for due diligence, background checks, in-depth search, research into certain type of databases, which are actually more organized and you subscribe to them. Then you've got specialized search engines. These are sort of customized search engines, and we have a more detail that we can offer through some of the assistive books, or you could say the reference booklets that we provide. So that's when we look at specialized search engines. And then there is a part of a deep web search, or what deep search means. So those are the tools and utilities, and we've boxed them on over here. Then, when we look at search queries, there are two things we will be covering. We'll be looking at keywords and search phrases to see how they impact, or how the search engine interprets the intent behind those keywords, or how you phrase those searches. Then we will talk about search operators. Within search operators, we've got uh, basic operators. That's how we separate basic from advanced operators. Basic includes, the booleans and all that. You've got advanced operators, which you must have seen somewhere. You must have applied them also, which are structured slightly differently. And you could see that it just got a word ending with a colon sign and so on. So those are advanced operators. So we'll do the basic operators, then we'll do the advanced operators. Besides the operator part, there are methods, which is how we, sort of look at to what extent, or to what could be our, what is this? Hold on. I think something got turned on, which needs to be turned off here. Uh, Somebody is able to. Mejdi, you just wrote something on my side. So please don't do it right now, because I'll do the security corrections later on. So try not to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the method means that how are we going to approach certain searches based on the amount of information that we have. At times, we have very limited information and we'd like to get into a broad search, find where we'd like to be or what type of pages we need to look for. And that is what we call proximity search, which is an approach to how you're going to organize or the methodology of doing proximity search. Proximity means something for which you don't have enough information. And to build queries using proximity search approach, we have different types of search operators. One of them is around. But anyway, we are not starting with this, just so that you know that there is one type which is called proximity. The other one is precision search. Precision is when we want to get exactly to those pages or that content. So that's just an overview of how the class is going to progress. Okay. Okay. So you would know the difference between the browsers and the search engine. Um, Obviously, I mean, there is a bit of a confusion here with a lot of my students, even though they understand that these two mean two different things. But I'll explain that misconception. But to begin with, a search engine itself is an environment. It is not just one entity or it's not one huge server. It is actually a lot of servers that are placed in an environment called data centers. And there are hundreds of data centers or even thousands of data centers with, so many of the servers that are sitting in each one of them that together form an ecosystem or an environment which together is called a search engine. So search engine is a lot of networks that interconnect with each other, whereas a browser is a program that sits on your machine or something that you download and use as a connectivity or a communication means to connect with those search engines. So if it is a Chrome search engine, for example, I'm sorry, if it is a Chrome browser, then you would be connecting to the Google search engines. If it is Bing browser, you will be connecting to Microsoft or IE search engines. Um, and then there are other search engines also, like Yandex, for example. These are all main search engines. Yandex is the one that is commonly used in Eastern Europe or those countries, but it has it is not as big as Google, but it is actually a true search engine, which means that it has its own environment to serve those search pages. Then we have Baidu, which works really nicely in China. So people who want to do searches in that part of the world, they'd be preferring to use Baidu because it has a larger indexing of of pages from that region or that part of the world. And surprisingly, you will find that in Japan, for instance, they they prefer to use Yahoo more than they like to use Google. So Google is not as famous there. So the certain type of searches which we want to do for which the information is collected from those different regions or different countries, we may be more selective. On the other hand, the notion that um, web browser like um, Firefox, for instance, that is not a search engine. That is just a browser, which means it has its own, um, you know, I guess its own format. Okay. And it has its own plugins and other utilities, but it is not really a true search engine. Similarly, Others, as an example, could be DuckDuckGo. That is not really a true search engine. What these search engines do is they collect information using their own algorithms, but they crawl over main search engines and make their own choices through the ranking theorem, which allows them to give those browser or those specific dimensions of how the browser is set to bring or to collect information and present it in a different format. So this is this differentiation which is important. Um, it may be a basic information right now, but for some of you it could be very important. Um, who are not very familiar with the differentiation of these environments, because when we are doing our searches, you will find that we will be dealing with web browsers separately and dealing with search engines response as another technology, and yet they work together. So that's why we are giving this differentiation. Now, the connectivity for the internet, for just getting a general concept of separating the communication devices or communication network with the service providers versus the data centers. All these, what happened? Just disappeared. That is what we need to differentiate and separate in this slide. So let's suppose, well, we don't, you know what local applications are, local programs are. Those are the ones that sitting on your hardware and they are connected. They don't require the internet connectivity. And then there are web applications. So one, two, and three is just differentiating these, but it's a common knowledge. It's not something that we have to explain a lot. But let's suppose if it is the web application which is connected through the cloud, the first thing it will require is for it to find the bandwidth or the main connection from the communication or the transmission lines that are served by companies like AT&T, for example, or Verizon, or those kind of companies in USA. But those are basically of fundamentally a communication or infrastructure that it provides allows you to connect through the wire or wireless, but that connectivity or bandwidth is provided by this bandwidth providers like AT&T. However, the other environment or the type 5 is pointing to ISPs or internet service providers, which are responsible for hosting websites, and they provide other kind of services or added or value add services as well. But most of the websites that are um, you know, far more than the ones that are set in the closed environment or a more secure environment in enterprise networks. Uh, these are the common ones that hold the websites, or this is where the servers are set that allows for the websites to be served or to be visible on the internet. Examples are internet service provider like GoDaddy, Yahoo Hosting, Host Excellence, and these are some of the service providers. But what is really important is for us to look at what is shown in number 6, or this environment here in this circle. It is actually showing data center or the number of data centers that connect with each other, where each of the data centers has servers that are indexing or collecting the web pages that are communicated or fetched from hosting environments like ISPs in 5. Okay. So these three segments, and this is also important when we do our search queries. You will realize how the indexing system works and how it is dependent on the web pages that gets collected with a time difference, where the information, the content pages are held in these servers in search engines or index here, but they might not be as fresh of an info, or it is not In other words, there is a timing difference in when the web pages are updated in the ISP side versus when it is collected by the robots or crawlers that go and pick it up from the ISP. So because of this timing difference, you will find that the index may at times indicate certain pages. When you click on them, uh, you will see that it is not bringing exactly the same info, or sometimes the information is changing, or maybe there is a dynamic code which is working on the web servers in ISP side, which changes the info, and what is collected for the same page was slightly older information, so it may not be in sync, or where the SERPs or the snippets that you see, when you click on them, you will find that when you reach the page, the information may have changed. So keep that thought in mind when we are doing, or when we are doing practical searches. There will be instances and where the information which is shown in the SERP may not appear the same, or the page may have moved, or the page may have changed, because when indexing is happening, it is collecting something for reuse, or the caching technology is holding those pages in its indexing system temporarily, um, or it is, you could say that it is collected with a timing difference that may make the information appear change when you actually go and view the page. Okay, and this is happening more frequently than you think. The database system of the search engine is of utmost or most important for us to understand, because it is a database different from what we are used to assuming, or what we are used to using. The typical database is called RDBMS, or Relational Database Management System, which is used in library environments, or which is generally used, commonly used as MySQL, or when we are doing search something internally within our own server environments, the databases might be different. Or you could say that there are standard databases. So what is standard is, as an example, if we have to search a file of a student, we would be identifying or be given option, or option number one to begin with would be to give student ID or student name. Then there would be a second instance where it would like to ask for the type of course, degree, non-degree. So it sort of creates a thread, or it creates a relationship which opens up more information as you select the subsets of the main information. So that is a typical RDBMS. Now compare this with textual database, and you will find that it is somewhat going to behave, um, uh, and let's start with an example of two words, market research, for instance. So if you do market research as two words, and you are looking or searching it in the indexing system of a search engine, you will find that it is actually sending a query to look for the pages that contains these two words. So basically it is looking at the text part, or it is looking at the content or the writing, or in this case, how the English language is phrased on those content pages, and try to match these words. So, so for textual database, individual words can be one data set, or two words together can become one data set. So it keeps changing. It keeps making logics or understanding of how one word or two word or three word together would have a matching for what you have placed in your search box. So the preparedness of the search engine to make it available as a textual database requires a kind of a science, or an intelligence which we call textual intelligence or semantics. Semantics is giving more understanding or giving context to one word versus two words together, and based on the sequence of how those words are set on those indexed pages. Now, when we say index pages, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about web pages that are constructed in HTML language. And those web pages are connected to a domain, and each of those pages has different segments or portions of text. There could be headings, there could be subheadings, there could be paragraphs, and even multimedia files that are named. So textual database means that the search is going to query not these individual data sets. These individual data sets like student ID, course, non-degree are basically well defined, or they are individually considered as complete when you are looking for subsets of main sets. But in the textual database, it is looking to make sense out of words or combining the words to give it a meaning in the linguistic scientific way. So this is basically just a bit of an animation here. So we've got, so it can, like I said, it's going to either look for one data set like market, or it is going to look for another one that is next to it as another word, or it may look for these two words together as, so it is going to change individual data. Now, when I'm saying data, I'm talking about the term market. The next data is research. But while there are two different ones at the same time, it may also sense that these two, market and research together, could make yet and a third type of data set. So they become three different data sets. So it's quite complex as far as how you can compare it with RDBMS, which is very simple. And but then there is advantages and disadvantages. When you're using RDBMS, it has got its advantages, which are listed, as in comparison when we look at another slide that sort of compares the two, but that is not as important, not for the exam, but it is more important for you to focus on textual database in order for you to, for me to take you to the next level of how the semantics work on it and how the queries are matched. So, having said that, we can move forward. So it's basically it is just showing you the comparison based and in a more in-depth way. But we don't have to worry about that because we are not going to learn RDBMS, nor are we going to run the textual database system because it is very complex. I've worked in this industry. I know how the textual syntax and how the textual attributes are compute uh, are worked on, because there are so many layers that um, in order for you to understand this part, you need to learn a different science. So this slide is just an overkill because I don't want you to get confused, but quickly just to let you know what it means, even though it's not part of the course, just somehow it just popped up. But the RDBMS has got tables, the vertical tables, horizontal tables. Records are, set in the horizontal table. Each one of these boxes are what we call data fields, and each data field has way of recording either numeric or alphanumeric characters, and they are named. So data field, first one, which is A, is called ID numbers. Second is name, is Mark Anthony, gender, and all that. So these are tables, which means that they have records in the table. Each record, for example, can be attributed to the horizontal table, which is record 1019. Then you've got a record 1020, and so on. But on the search engine side, there are so many algorithms working and so many machine learned tools and even programmed tools are used as well as the algorithms themselves work to establish relationship between words, or what we call, they make a lexical table, which means it's going to check the spelling, it's going to check relationship, it's going to check cognitive meaning of it, and so on and so forth. So these are the, uh, let's say, a title of a document. It's called annual budget. There is a specific key given to it. And within the annual budget, there could be so many different paras and, text embedded in it, that it would require a control or a control key that is established through meta text. That's why I don't want to explain much, but let's just suppose that you got just a visual of how these are different. Mm, okay. This is a more important part for our learning, for us to know when we look at the snippet or the return results of your search. You could see that this is how you get to see them. You see a favicon, whatever way you spell it. It is like a small image. Then you've got a URL on the top. This is supposed to be a URL, but it is now simplified and transformed to appear in the format what we call breadcrumb format. So this is the URL part on top. The next segment is the title, which is the title, and the entire thing is called the snippet. So the second element of a snippet is the title part, which is not very long, limited amount of words, usually more, the fonts are different, color is different. And then under this one, you could see that there is a description part in gray color with some of the words or the matching words to your search term that are highlighted. So description part, title part, URL, these are the three major elements of a snippet that needs to be understood in the sense of where this information is pulled. Obviously, this is pulled from a page or an index or an individual index page. So it is actually representing a single page. If you click on it, you will go to one page or that landing page where this URL is going to lead you to. So before you click on these, you will need to know whether it's worthwhile for you to click on it by understanding or reading through, I guess, the title part and the description part to know if it is worthwhile or not. So, where is this information being pulled from, or do you want to rely on this info, or is it enough that it will allow you to make that decision? Because the time it will take to reach to this page and then to look up the content and then find out it is not as useful, that could be a time waster. So this snippet is where you pick your first information to make that decision whether to go there or not. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about all these three elements, the URL, title, and description, where it is pulled. See, one thing I want you to know, and it's a very important concept also. In fact, it is a fundamental concept that the search engine is not looking at or reading the page that you as a user is seeing on your in your browser. It is actually reading the HTML tags or the coding that is making this page to appear as it is shown to the user. So when it is reading the HTML part, it is actually reading um, through the tags, which is what we will try to understand, like what tags are important or what pieces of information is embedded in those tags. And if that information is something that you can get to by scanning through or by using certain operators, and those operators work for finding information in a certain area of a content page. Right now, as I'm speaking, it may seem complicated and you may not understand it, but when I give you a more detailed view through these slides, you will get to appreciate this knowledge or the importance of this knowledge. I'm going to take a 10 minutes break here, and then we will just continue till the end of the lecture. So I'll leave this slide open, and when I come back, I'll start from this slide and give you an understanding of what the content pages are made up of, or what are the different areas, and where certain information is more important and others are less important. And when you make a selection for choosing the right operators to build your search query, you would know where those operators will look for that matching terms, whether it will be in the body of text, whether it will be in the header portion, or whether it will be on the footer side. Mm, Actually, we tried the closed captioning before, and it just covers parts of the slide, and the information gets hidden. Um, okay, let's just take a break right. Okay, I'm back, and hopefully everybody is back as well. Mm, Let me check. Joanne, Machdi, Romy, Miranda, are you there? Okay, excellent. So, Miranda, you were asking about closed captioning is possible. Actually, I'm not sure if I can do that, but you will have the recording that you can go through later on with I guess you can rewind it and basically, just try to catch on from that. If not, then let me ask you, um, are you finding it difficult right now to understand what is being taught, or I can slow down the pace of how I'm delivering my lecture, or I can explain few things better if you'd like. You're free to give comment and to let me know if I need to correct something on my side, or anything that would help you to get a better sense or better understanding. So that is something that I would like, for everybody to be able to tell me. If you want me to go slower, I can go slow. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Okay. So, if you're coming from IT background, it may be a very basic info for you, but I want everybody to be able to, catch up with, because the first part of the CIRS course is the technology part, and it gives a notion that the course is very intense or it is very complex, but this is probably the most complex part, and it starts as our first module. And then when you go to the next module 2, things will become a lot more easier, and we'll actually be building search queries. and we'll be using those operators. So the second module would be a lot more interesting, I guess, and better to understand. Module three is fun. It is research in business and business of research. And, for any one of you who are trying to go on their own to establish their private consulting for research purposes, that module three will work really nicely. Module four is about internet law, and it is interesting and open for debate. And things that we'll be covering in there would be more to do with case laws, like situational queries or situations where certain legalities are of concern for researchers, especially online researchers. So even that is, going to be exciting. So once we take this bitter pill and we get done with the technology part, to whatever extent you can understand or absorb, it's okay, because when we do the search queries, we will keep repeating some of these concepts, and we'll brush on it, make it even better. So eventually, by the time we get done with the entire course, you'll be able to get a better comprehension of everything that's we're starting with. So in this slide, I want to talk about the web page itself, because these are the web pages or the content in these web pages that we are querying, and we are looking for to get the best matched documents that contain all those information that you seek with uh, the formation of those search queries. So understanding of where certain type of information on those pages are segmented, or what part of the page we are supposed to query based on our objectives. If it is an objective to find something very precise or a general information, or we want to do broad search with less number of words, then we would be using in title colon, for example, as an operator. Uh, and and with that operator, we would be querying a certain part of those pages. If we want to do in-depth search query, like we want to get to the body of text or the in-depth text that is in the middle portion of those pages, which we call body of text, then we will be using in-text colon. Okay. Um, and if we are looking for links or doing searches to find matching words within these links or URLs that is on those pages, then more than likely it will be looking for URLs in the footer part or in the header part. To have that kind of knowledge, we would be able to make our decision on what type of the operator to use. And here I'm talking about advanced search operators. I've slowed down the pace of how I'm delivering the lectures for everybody to get to be able to understand, because I don't have closed captioning, Miranda, unfortunately. Uh, anyway, this is just a specimen or just a design of a typical web page, okay, which is collected and put inside of the servers for retrieval later on, that the user can get to. Okay, so a typical page, we divide it into three portions. One portion we call the header, where we have main links, main navigations on the top. There's logo and few other things on top. And then there is the next layer or the next portion, which we call body of text, which is the middle one or the stomach of it, where all the information is actually presented, or there are more textual information there. There is different types of files. There is different types of how the the headings and subheadings are set. So it is giving more depth of search for the operator where your search query is very long. It has or it has longer sentences, longer search phrases, or for various reasons, you would rather not be using in title colon. Instead, you would use in text if that is the nature of your query. So, with that understanding, I want you to know one more additional thing. And of course, footer, I told you also, it has a lot of links in here. So, three portions. Now, what I'm trying to uh, bring to your attention, besides and beyond just how it is segmented, is that the information or the content that is displayed to the user or what you are seeing is maybe the content which is not inclusive of certain type of information that remains hidden behind these pages, and those hidden information can be important also for many reasons. For example, if you are to search or to do a query for finding keywords, you would get return pages that would have everything in it except that those keywords are not listed or those keywords are not visible. Another type of information could be the time and date stamp. A lot of times, the content that is held in these pages are not dated or it is not time stamped, but that information resides in the background or in the code. So you can, and the search engine is, because it is reading the code behind it, um, specifically the HTML code, it is actually finding those information for you, but it is not bringing it to the snippet. So that will remain hidden. Okay. But those queries that we are going to build will reveal all of that. Okay. So keep that thought in mind. And I would proceed with now for those of you who don't understand the HTML code, and I would say that I'm not explaining how to write the HTML code, but merely give you enough information about the coding that would bring your focus to the two or three words I'll keep using. One is called tags, the other one is called meta tags, and then there is non-meta tags. So these are the three terminologies that I would like to explain to you, and then show you what information within those tags are read by the search engine at the time of indexing. So, excuse me, I'm going to break out of this, and I'm going to skip a few slides and show you a simulation of how the search engine does its indexing, or when it captures the pages and puts it in its database, what type of information is extracted and organized, and that is what we call indexing. Better organization of those pages for easy retrieval at the time when the search query tries to match those key terms. Okay, with the restrictors, of course, or the operators. So let's see how the indexing system works. And basically, I'm going to give you the idea. Let's call it an idea, because we don't exactly know the indexing system, or it is so elaborate that it cannot be explained in detail. Yet we have enough technology on our hand that would reveal the basics of how the indexing works. Okay. Uh, Take an indexing system as an analogy. You could think of it as a cupboard which has got a lot of stuff in it, and if you just throw everything in a manner that it fits in somehow, but it is not organized, then the next time when you open it and try to retrieve something, it'll be very difficult, right? So the what indexing does is at the time of collection of the pages, it acts similar to those closets where it is going to get that page, open it up, break it into smaller units, and then organize those units and give them attributes or give them a labeling like this belongs, this is the label of it, and this belongs in this shelf or this corner. So that's the reason why it is going to strip everything out of those pages as soon as it gets collected, so that those individual or itemized um, mm, I guess itemized elements of what needs to be later on fetched can be matched at the time when you're doing the query, and you can get to it quickly, and search engine can provide it to you immediately. So when it is doing indexing, this is how it is going to come up, uh, or this is how it is going to act. Now I'm going to reveal to you certain tags or the type of tags, but you don't have to worry about what it what the tag does at this point. This is just a simulation to give you give you an orientation. Okay, and also you will understand the importance of tags. For now, let's assume that tags are labels that are given a name, and tags is what is going to hold that specific information that has that named in or where the tag is named to have, or inside of those tags it has that specific type of information. So when we are getting our search results like this one right here as a snippet, all three elements, and if we click on it and we do a simulation of how the page was indexed initially, you will find that in the first go, what the search will do, because it is reading the tags, it is going to look for the title tag or a tag that is named title. And this is the meta information or the type of information that defines what the page is about, or what type of product or services it delivers, and so on. So it is the first stop for the search engine to identify it with the title or what it contains and what it means. So first thing, when it is reading, it is going to go and look for the information in the title tag. Then it is going to look for the information in the, and this title tag is called meta title. Right now we just named it title tag. That's how we usually say it, but it's a meta tag. A meta means the top layer information or the higher or the main information. Then the next thing it will read in the next tag, or the tag that is named description, or you can call it a meta description tag. In this, there is the description area, which is what is actually uh, um, got the same information that you see in this gray color, or the more information that is revealed in the gray color is coming from the description tag. Then you got meta keywords, or the keywords that only the search engine reads and tries to understand uh, in detail with the wordings that are called keywords or meta keywords that is informing in short what those pages contain. Okay. So the keywords like internet research, internet certification, all these are red. And this is at the time of organizing. It is indexing time. It is not when you are fetching the information, it is when the search engine is collecting those pages. Uh, okay. And then it also collects vital statistics, which are responsible for giving ranking to those snippets on whether the snippet should be first one or the third one or the 10th or the last one. So those rankings are determined by these numbers, which I am going to, without explaining what it means, let's just assume the first one, let's say it says total words on the page. So, how heavy is the file makes an impact. There is an optimized size that is actually, well, you could say that it is one of the attributes of a ranking theorem that looks at the weightage of the number of words or the density or um, the depth of the text on those pages. That has an effect. Words that have links on the page, words that have no links on the page, number of external links, all these are different number. It's calculating different numbers for that page for ranking reasons. So without worrying too much about what it means for now, let's just move forward. Let's call this as the first read or the first assessment or the top layer or the meta assessment of the page that defines the page or gives it a ranking. Second thing it will do is it's going to strip all the text from that page, um, no matter where it is held, whether in the header portion or the middle body of text, wouldn't matter. It's just going to extract all the words, everything that is in textual format, and start to analyze it, okay, without any regards to the captions or the subparas or nothing of that, just everything captured, and this is extracted from the real page, which is taking you to where you've seen the snippet. This is where the page has these texts in it, and it is an excerpt from it to give you an example of how it's going to interpret or decipher some of the words, or where it is going to apply its lexical and semantic intelligence. So let's suppose everything put together, you can see some of the wordings that are in red fonts, and then there are others that are underlined. Okay. And this is not, this is just done for illustration purposes, for um, giving you an understanding of what these mean. In truth, becoming off in red font, so whatever is in red form is called stop words, or the kind of words that the search engine does not care much about, or it wouldn't use it or consider it as part of the search phrase. Um, so it will just drop it if you write it without putting them within quotation marks. Quotation marks is another business. We'll talk about it later, but that's part of the uh, forced instructions to include or not to ignore whatever is held inside of those quotation marks. But for now, to get a sense of what stop words means, you should look at them carefully and try to understand that these are not nouns. You could see that these are adverbs, verbs, or adjectives, and so on. So to you, once you have all these are ignored, you see, or they are considered less important. Let's, for now, think of them as the words that the search engine don't like to bring to into consideration for matching your search terms. The other words, like the one right here where I'm pointing to, password, for example. Password in itself has got a very high weightage and it has a meaning of its own, which means the search engine understands it as a single word. It does not need to be in combination with any other word. Account, it understands as single word, so it is not underlined. But when you look at the underlined words right here, these are the ones that can work um, as a single word or together, like contributor knowledge could be a search phrase which is, has got a ranking or some sort of a preference, or it is searched more together. So contributor knowledge can be, together, or discover counter contributor knowledge can be three words together. So it is going to make its own assessment based on its intelligence of what it has collected or its own wisdom of how its search has been used, and it is going to start to connect words and try to make relationship with them, either two words together, three words, or even words that skip one or two words in between and connect with other words. That is why they're underlined or they're given a kind of a weightage to be interpreted or to be actively interpreted by the lexical intelligence or the lexical attributes of the algorithmic process to do more heavy duty processing on them, whereas these singular words are considered to have a meaning of their own. So that's the second part, which is coming after the meta part. This is how the text is separated and segregated. In the third instance, you will see that there are certain tags. Now it is going to start to read. Now, before I go to H1 to H4, let's look at what we have on the right hand side where I'm pointing to the word density. The analysis starts on that page. It is going to look for how many words as single words are used with highest frequency. Like the word research on it is used 35 times, internet 22 times. These are all one words that is giving the density or the word count per page. Okay. In the second one, you could see it is also not ignoring two words together, like how many of the two words are more frequently used on those pages. Internet research 10 times, research specialist 4 times, and so on. So it is making a kind of um, a directory. It is creating something which is allowing it to later on use this information to make judgments on what pages can be more relevant to your search query in terms of matching terms, matching words, whether as single words or two words together. It also goes as far as three words together, like how many of the three words together are coming or occurring with more frequency. And now I've heard that they have added four words together as well. So there could be an additional um, uh, update which has happened, I believe recently. We haven't put it in the book yet, but it is now going as far as four word counts. This is called word density. Now, there is two types of words density. There is linked words and non-linked words. Linked word means the words that are also part of the URL, which means whatever is counted here is actually actually the first one is linked word, meaning that these words are inclusive of their use inside of the URLs that are there. URLs are links. It's the same terminology I'm using for both. URL and links are interchangeable for now. So these are linked word and the other ones are non-linked word. That means they exist on the textual part, but does not exist in the links. Okay. Oh, let me go back to the H1 tag. Now the next thing is the H1, H2, H3 tags. What are those? When the search engine starts to look for or before indexing to organize or give structure to its index, it is going to pick up the information that resides in the tags, or you could say labels, okay, to give it a, make it easier. Labels of what type of information it has. So H1 means the main caption, okay. H2 means the subheading to the main caption. H3 means the third layer, which means a sub to the sub, okay. So you don't have to learn the HTML, and I'm emphasizing again, this is just for giving you an explanation of what is done at the time of indexing, and give you a sense of the importance of understanding the tags. Okay, because whatever is collected, whatever is organized, whatever is indexed is searchable. What is not indexed is not searchable. So simple as, so for you to know what is indexable or what is indexed or what is the important tags or important labels that represents the text that is put inside of those labels, what is their importance for the search, that will give you an upper hand of knowledge to know if you use a certain operator, you can get to that info. Other information you cannot get to, then there are other ways to find that and to search for them. So here we are hashing out the indexing part to understand what important aspects or what are the important elements that are collected for easy retrieval from the search engine. Okay. Is it clear so far? If anyone is having problem, you should let me know. I would be happy to, you know, explain it better or further. Miranda, how are you doing? So for now, is it good enough, or is it something that you are finding it more difficult? Are you there, Miranda? Just wondering because I see you online. How is it coming along for you, Iromi? Iromi, eh? That's correct.
Yes.
How is it
I'm
coming
not
along
that
for you?
familiar with this stuff, so I'm just trying to follow along.
Okay. But as I'm explaining it, the best I can, is it good enough that will give you at least some idea of what we are talking about? Somewhat get a sense. Are you getting that vibe or not?
Yeah, yes. So I know a little bit about HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So
Right.
it's somewhat understandable.
Okay. So, in the beginning, I'd like to check just to check my pace, um, and to see if it's making sense or not. That's very important because as we go down further, we'll be using all this knowledge later on. Anyway, so Anthony, you know what I'm saying, right? It's good. All right. All good. All right. All right. Now, another thing that it's going to collect and organize is hashing out and separating links or URLs, eh? And these are, yes, yes, Joanne, it'll come together. Don't worry, I'm here and we have a long way to go. We will be brushing on it. We'll be, you know, making it more clearer as we go along. So don't worry, all is good. Now, here we have another, we use a query uh, with an operator called in URL with a colon sign. Okay. The in URL colon is very important. It has got it likes to look for the wordings that are part of the URL or the link itself. But to understand why to match or use in URL, you would have to learn the structure of the URL and what it represents uh, to get the full utility of in URL colon. Okay. We are not starting with advanced search operator yet. So I keep emphasizing or keep using certain terminologies that might be explained better later on, or I can elaborate on it later, and it'll all gel together. But for now, just bear with me and just try to follow whatever I'm talking about, understand it or not. But when you go to the next layers or the further down in the course, you will start to connect it. You will do it automatically. Okay, so in URL is a query that is going to look for the information inside of the URL. These URLs are collected from that page. Inside of that HTML page, there are a lot of links that are leading you to navigate to other pages, links that are navigating you to maybe some third party or outside information. And so there are different kinds of links or URLs. Here is a list collected by the search engine at the time of indexing, and it is making a connection between the URLs and the statement that you read here in the title tag. Okay, so the title, which is the meta information, is now getting connected, or it is building a relationship between the URL of that page and what that page represents. And by the way, all of these links are collected from those content page or that individual page. This is actual extraction of the links that are inside or embedded inside of HTML code of that page, that one page we are talking about. So much information is digested, it is collected, it is, sort of organized and absorbed by the indexing system. And so there are different ways, different blendings of the URLs. And Anthony, maybe you can use it. I know I don't have to explain this much. Reason being that I don't want to make things more complicated, and with the full understanding that it is not part of your exam, but it could be part of your interest. So when we have these in the PDF version of the PowerPoints, you can look them up. Um, so there is a long list of it, but let me go back to where I left. I didn't have to come to this slide, but I did this intentionally to before I talk about the HTML. Now you have a sense of what the tags are important for. So that is the reason I ran these indexing system slides. But now I'm going to get to the HTML portion. Okay. So for a better understanding of those of you who don't have no background of how the programming is done or what HTML is, I'm going to show you or open up something that will scare you initially, but I'm here right now, so I'm sure I'm going to make it much more easier. And in different segments, as I said, I promise you, you will grasp the whole thing, okay, in the end. So with that, I would gather the courage to start to explain something about HTML. What is HTML? Now, even before it, let me open up. This is going to give you an idea of what HTML means in the easiest terms. Now, let's suppose this is the web page we have gotten to. This is AOFIRS. And let me go to certification page, for example, right here. So I'm on the certification page, and supposing that I want to know how these are coming up as they are shown, with the headings right here. It is showing the text that is, done or is shown as it is presented to you right here in with the headings, the subheadings, with the paragraphing and all that, and the colors and how they are coming and going. All of this information is actually showing as it is seen because of the code. that is making it appear like this. And that coding um, needs to be opened. I'm going to show you how the coding can be opened. So let's suppose, and this is just to show you what HTML is. What is the programming language that is running behind all of these to appear to make them appear as it is showing to the user. So I'm going to go right click on this page, and here I'm going to press view page source. Okay. When I do that, it opens up the code. It shows me what is running behind this page, or what is responsible for making the page appear as it is shown to you. And this is the coding that is responsible for it to appear like this. But when the search engine is indexing or reading or collecting information, it is not looking at what is shown or what is appearing in front of you, but rather it is reading the code. So when it is reading the code, it is collecting information that is embedded inside of the code, and that embedded information is actually appearing like a gold standard of professional online research. It is going to be shown here somewhere. So if I, let's say, take this, copy this, or even just gold standard, if I say Control F here and I say gold standard, I want to see where this text is actually. So you can see that it is right here, gold standard certification. Okay, right. And if I want to look at other information at the top, I want to say look for, it's a lot of, my, maybe I should make it smaller. Now I think it's better. So here in the coding, you could see that there is a meta tag called keywords. These keywords are not shown on the page you're looking at as a user. Okay. But it has a description, like we provide the most in demand and globally recognized certification. So the tag name description, for example, has the information embedded in it, which is what you can read right here until here. So the search engine is going to read the description and pull this information uh, and bring it to the description part of the snippet. Okay, so it is going to pick up this information from these tags. Similarly, in the title tag, you could see that it has got these wordings. So when the search engine is actually doing the indexing, it is going to read the title info to see what the title is. It is going to read the description. Remember, we saw the description part. Okay. So this information is collected by reading into the HTML code. Even though this information is presented on the page you're looking at, the actual page for the user, but the search will not pick it up from that side. It will pick it up from the backend or the description meta tag of the HTML code. So let's suppose this is the snippet, and this is what you are looking at as a user. Now, where the snippet is collecting and presenting this information as a link there, and the title tag or the title info and the description part, where is this coming from? This is coming from this page, but it is reading, like for example, description part is not showing over here, all right? But it is in the meta text. So this information, which is the meta or the meta description information, is coming from somewhere here. This is the description meta tag, world's leading professional association of. Oh my, this is not the same. Oh, here it is. World's leading professional association of researchers. So it is coming from the description part, and it is shown in the description area. The other thing it is reading is the title. So the title is coming from the title tag. See, it says title here. So for the internet, for the search to react to those matching terms, it is going to look for information in three areas: in the link part, which is href tag, in the description tag, and in the title tag. And that's where it is pulling this information and bringing it to the snippet. Okay? And there you are going to rely on this description information if you are doing in-text colon. Okay. Coming back to the header, the body of text, I'm going to ignore the third one, footer. It's not as important. I want you to know that in reality, and I don't know if you have noticed, but the header portion or the top portion of a web page or the website or the web domain remains constant. It does not change. Usually, what changes is the middle portion. Even the footer remains the same, but the main action is in the body of text, which contains all the information sets, including text and the multimedia and everything, images and everything else. So the stomach of it, or the middle portion, the body of text, is actually it contains different tags or different tags that are have got an importance or significance for the search to match those wordings that are held inside of those non-meta tags that are in the body of text. In the header portion, it has certain tags or certain information pieces we call meta information, such as meta description, meta keywords it's going to read, meta um, title it is going to read. All of that code is actually held behind the header portion. Okay. Primarily, the header portion contains the most important tag, which is the title tag. So when we are doing in title search, it is looking for information on the header, which remains, somewhat similar or constant on all those other pages. But if you look at the body of text inside, you've got a lot, many tags that the search engine entertains, or at the time of indexing, it makes or gives more high or more weightages, or gives importance according to the how they are named. So let's look at what the body of text has um, as non-meta tags. Okay. So in the body of text, you have non-meta tags right here that are H1, H2, which is, heading. So the search engine collects the heading and gives them more importance. If you're looking for certain search terms in the body of text, you're going to use in text with the colon sign, and that means do in-depth search of those pages, include the main captions, the subheadings, and everything else. So what is everything that it reads will be based on the type of tags that it gives importance to. Okay. Uh, so the first thing it will look for when you're using in text is to match wordings in the title, main captions like H1, H2, H3. Second is that it is going to go down and look for information in the paragraphs or detailed text, which is the P tag. Then it is also going to look for information in the time stamp or time and date stamp. Like certain queries will require before colon as an operator and after colon as an operator to insert the two dates as a date range. So that date range is usually, and a lot of times, is not mentioned on those pages which are visible to the user, but that information is hidden in the source code. The advantage is that when you use before and after, and if that information is not shown to you, but it exists on those pages in the backend codes or in the HTML codes, it is going to fetch those pages for you. So the search engine has the ability to read and see what you cannot see as a user. So this is why the uh, time tag is also very important. Then it looks at another tag which is used for fonts like strong, for instance. The word strong inside of these, tags are indicated by less than and greater than signs and the backslash. So it has an indicator that says that it is a tag, and tag has a name which it recognizes. So the strong means that the fonts are emphasized, or they are in bold. Okay, so that tells the search engine that these wordings are important for that page or for that content, or it has a meaning which is given a higher precedence over the paragraphing or other text, just because those content or those texts are held inside of a tag called strong. Similarly, other tags like B for bold, captions, article. If it is an article and you won't know if the writing style is a blog or an article, and you want to look for articles only, then it is going to look for the quotes rather than the information that is appearing for the user, and then find the source that is coming from the articles and not from anywhere else. So these are some of the tags like source, if it is a file, what type of file it is, if it's video or not, and all these are noted, and the text inside of these tags are compared and matched for those words. So non-meta action is happening in the deeper layer or the middle portion, which is not only dynamic, but it has a lot of information in it, and it has the ability to, if you want to do in-depth search, you will not use in title colon, you would rather use in text colon for that kind of search, to look for or ask for the search to look for something in the non-meta text or in the body of text. So that's the explanation, or that's the reason. And here it is illustrated also. You could see that if you use in URL colon, it is going to look for the, and by the way, the meta tags are actually held behind the header, okay, not the body of text. So in URL is reading the meta in URL or the main URL, which is aofirs.org, within the tag called href. Href is used for all sorts of links, and this is also a kind of a tag, or it is named href. So it is going to, then you will have to, if you want the words to be matched inside of a URL somewhere on those pages, you will run in URL colon. If you want text to be found, you will do in text, and you will look for, you will be asking search to look for it in the description tag, as well as in all other non-meta tags right here. So when you run in text colon, it is looking for the text within the description as well as non-meta tags like these ones. Okay. And if it's in title, then this is the tag, title tag here, that will be matching words inside of the text that is held within the title text. Okay. Okay, so let's not get over there. So once again, this is just more of the same, but I'll let you read this. This is the page. This is the header. This is the body of text. So the tags that are in the body of text, which are non-meta in nature, are held here. Okay, these are little advanced slides, so we will not go through these in detail. This is for the advanced courses. Okay, we have done the indexing system, all that. Now we will spend, so this is pretty much everything in the technology side. So you're just because I didn't run those slides, they are not going to be of any significance. They're meant for something else. Whatever we have covered is actually so far is going to complete our technology portion, which is a good news, really. Um, but right now, I would like to show you around in the Dropbox to let you know what type of information we have in there for you. Where is 1194? Does anyone have a link? Uh, Let me see. 1194. Okay. Batch 119.
I do have a question.
Yes. Go
Yes,
ahead.
so I went in and I made some folders on my desktop, and I noticed some of the material is password protected. So I used the
Yes.
password to get into that. And I was wondering, is there a way to get around that, or I have to always use the password to open those documents up?
Um,
I'm familiar with that technology because I've used it on other things, but
mhm.
I was trying to create a folder to put all those things in on my desktop. And the password protected ones, once you open it up, there's no way for me to I don't know what I'm
Don't.
trying to say. Maybe you understand what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
say.
I think the best thing would be that you download the file. So you have the PDF on your desktop, which it allows you to do. So for example, if I want to download the training guide, I can simply basically, where is the down? Here it is, the download. Once I've downloaded it and I have used the password, um, it's usually it remains in its own autofill memory kind of thing, if it's a PDF. And then every time you want to open it, that password sort of remains there, but with the dots, you can just click on it and it opens up.
Okay.
So and you can, as long as you can download all the PDFs, you can put them in the folder. It's going to move around. It's just the opening part. um, but what I've experienced is it has a memory, so it just sort of opens up with it automatically
Oh yeah,
remembers it.
I could have chosen. Okay, all right.
And
I,
then yeah, so because the passwords I cannot do anything about, it's just the policies. And um, I mean, they've had stricter conditions where, every time somebody opened it, uh, we used to get an email, it was kind of a micromanagement of some sorts. It was uh, insane, really. So we just got rid of all that. But all we have left with is just the password security. By the way, you can print these manuals if you'd like. It's printable in high resolution. Um, so all that is there. Now, if you look at the Dropbox, just as an introduction, it's got practice exams, which means that you can use the practice exams anytime, or you can initialize it anytime you want. Uh, but I don't suggest to do it, in between the course, because then you come with the questions which may not pertain in particular to that topic we are covering. So but it's up to you. There's no restriction. Then the final exam is also complimentary. It is given to you as part of the package. So if you are extraordinarily ambitious, you can actually start attempting it like tomorrow. But it's going to be difficult to um, get around. I mean, it's like, I would suggest the best you could do is, once the module is finished, you can try attempting finals. And you are given, I think, 4 attempts as freebies, that you can try it out. Besides, the few have not practiced on these practice exams, it is not advisable to go and attempt final exams right away. It's because there is, in the practice exams, a lot of questions are going to be similar or somewhat conceptual in nature, that would test you in the final exams and prepare you really well. There are unlimited attempts in the practice exams. So you can, as soon as you get something like 75 or 80%, you should just attempt your final exam right away. So that is up to you. Then the CIRS training guide is basically the only book you require for this course. So, along with this, there are others as well. But if you read a lot, or, you start jumping between different books, it might be a distraction. Besides, training guide is not only comprehensive, it is also very lengthy, and it has got about 500 some pages. You might give you a scare too. Um, but the concepts that are not clear enough during my lecture, the best thing is that you go to the book, and because it is an ebook, you could just do Control F and quickly get to that topic. Or even if you look at the table of content, it is very granular. So you can pretty much get to the exact same topic we are discussing. In case you want to read more, or you're interested in it, or you couldn't understand it, then reading through the book is a good idea. But it is it is voluminous. Okay. Then class notes is where you will find the empty folder. When we are doing our practice queries, and when we are getting understanding of some of the rules and formation of the search queries, I always use Notepad as a whiteboard, and I make those into class notes, and then I start placing them in these folders. So that's why you'll find nothing in there. This is just, like today, I don't need a class note. All you can go through is the recording part. So when I use notebook, you will find notepad rather, you will find those in there. Classes schedule is final schedule. There will be no errors in this. Just rely on this part more than you rely on what is emailed to you or what is online. Those guys might make a mistake. I don't. And then and this is the entire Dropbox is under my control. So whatever we discuss and we change and we agree on, or whatever action we do during the class, it's all going to be held inside of these Dropboxes. Next thing is course syllabus lectures. You can actually refer to this as a guideline, or how we are achieving our milestones, or what is being covered, in case we don't cover anything or something is left out, you will be able to point it out by reading through, comparing it in the syllabus part. Uh, then we have ebooks, which are what we call complementary. Let me check what is given to you this time. Okay. So I added an additional book in here. It's called Online Investigative Research. I wrote this book also. The only thing is that it is not published because it's still under edit, and I haven't found time to make those changes, but it is there. It is hefty, just like the training guide. It's also about 500 pages, but it is really nice for any one of you who are looking to search for or do verification of information, to filter out any false news, or um, things like verification of videos and things of that nature. So it has that forensic kind of element of digging deeper into or doing more. In general terms, it is due diligence, verification, and investigations. Okay. So that's for those of you who would be interested in that. So I gave it to you as complimentary. Then there are these three books which are interesting, a good find, which I thought I'd share with my students. It is a good sort of hands-on, practical approach to real situations that particularly journalists or those that are, what do they call it? Citizens journalism, right? Um, Collecting information on the ground, realities that needs to be verified. Those kind of things can be very interesting topics. So these are just complementary books, not that it is part of your course. So don't, when I said just use the training guide 5.0 as the main book, that should be good enough. This is when you have a lot of time and you want to use it as a reference. Then there is another folder, and here are the PowerPoints. By the way, I have a bad habit of, adding information or adding, you know, some additional slides or taking some out. So I keep shuffling between all of those. This is the unfortunate part for someone who wrote the course. There is always, there is always some information which I think would be better to put in or as an added info, or others that I think is not as relevant. So I sort of make those moves. But whatever I get done, I will start replacing the ones that are there. These are coming from the previous lectures. So there probably there might be changes, but I will keep changing them. But towards the end of all the lectures, when we get done, you will get the final version. I'll start putting them here. And see, I've put a lot, so many of them. I probably would just put them together as one PowerPoint rather than, segment them, and then make it easier for you. So this is what I wanted to explain on the PowerPoints. Then there is um, recordings. Now, recordings will be held in the notepad format. Just to give you an idea how you would be able to look at them, I'm going to give you the example from the previous recordings we have. Um, Batch 1193. Okay. So what you will see is a TXT file that you can click on and see as an example of how you will find the recording. So it will have a statement at the top, a heading saying, in the 7th August, date of the class, and then there'll be a link here. All you will do is you will copy it and paste it in your browser, and it'll take you to that recording. Okay. So, and this is how it is going to talk about, first class or the second, third, fourth, fifth, a date, and so on. So when we start to complete our lectures within next 24 hours, you can expect something that will be recorded on the notepad and placed in your Dropbox. Okay. Okay. So that, where is it? Hmm? Sorry. Yeah. Let me get back to it. How do I get rid of? Must be kidding me. Okay, let me get to it again. There are there is one important book that you should be using as a reference for all your searches in future. And this is updated. We have recently updated it. But there is an overlap which I want to caution you about. There is this book under research information reference, and there is resource reference booklets. Okay. What the 5.01194 is saying at the top, research information, is that it is a collection of all the booklets that are in the second folder of resource reference. So basically, you don't need this. I've put everything that is held in these. There are three booklets here. Whatever is in these booklets, which are these two PDFs and using the same password, is also part of the research information reference. Okay. And plus a lot more in there. So there is really no need for this. I probably delete it later. But because it is these booklets that are presented or shown in the picture that you have when you got registered, there was bonus pack or all those things. The marketing guys put all of these there, but it is not as important as this one. And by the way, the one I'm opening up for you now, this book is not even part of the package. So that's the password here. So let me just get the password and make sure it is the right book. And then I want to explain few things on this book when you have to use it as a reference, how useful it is. So let's just open it quickly. And I put the password and I submit. What happened? Okay, this is it. So in this book, first of all, these are heavy books. So you should not try to download them and open it in a local machine rather than, because it's going to be more lethargic and slower for it to, for you to navigate through these different topics. And what this book covers is internet information types, internet information resources, internet information verification, challenges, list of specialized search engines, list of all these topics are comprehensive enough that would work as a reference for you to quickly embark on any kind of research without having to collect the resources. These resources are already set there and they're explained in not only they're well organized, but they are very much complete. So, for example, list of internet information sources where you can expect to find, and this is more generic. It is not giving you, um, that it is not putting you in a it's not compartmentalizing you. It is opening up a lot of venues and giving you pointers to where to go and find certain type of information. Okay. And then there are certain areas which are more specific and detailed in terms of the type of information that is held for the nature of search. So if the nature of search is to find information in deep web, to find information pertaining to academics, science, arts, you can click on this blog search engines, business directories, document search engines, data scraping tools, and so on. So as an example, if you click on one, you could see that it is not only organized here under the main headings, it is also giving you an idea or giving description of what it is about. And we have given a rating, which took us a long time because we have created or built a criteria internally that is used to vet the source as in terms of its reliability, in terms of uh, even the cost of it, or how easy it is to get the information from it, whether it works or it is efficient, that or it has the latest content or not. So all those checklists are applied, and they based on that, each of these links or each of these sources are given rating here. Okay, so that's why it is valuable. We have even got highest rating, which is 5 plus. Okay, so it continues. That's another part. What I'm trying to do here is to tell you really that you should start to download these and put it on your own machines before you can use it. That's a better idea. Okay. Rules, agreements, policies in case you have disputes, dislikes, problems, and not enough understanding of privacies and things like that. You can look at rules, agreements, policies. Now, at the end, we have WS training guide. A WS training guide is for the, there were three students that didn't show up today that took a course which is more focused on how to build search queries. We call that web search training guide for those participants, and they would be joining us later. Why? Because the module 2 of CIRS literally is the duplication of WS training or the web search training. So it is all covered in the CIRS training guide, and WS training guide is actually built or taken, has got the content taken out from the main training guide. So it is not for you to use. I could have deleted it also, but I left it there. So if you just want to focus on some book that is only going to teach you the how to make the search queries, you can even use this one. So training guide, you may not, um, don't have to flip through a lot many pages. So anyway, I thought this is a good time, first lecture, to give you an idea of what these um, folders contain, so you can understand the utilization of it without any confusions. So let's
So,
just end our, yes, go ahead.
yeah, so what would be the main book to download for this class?
This
Uh,
one, as I
that
said,
one, the training guide. Okay, just want to make
this one.
sure. I think I did
Yeah,
that one
this,
already.
yeah. In fact, just use only one book. It's a lot. You already have, you people are already working somewhere, and you have usually have a long day, and you want to have better weekends. It is a very lengthy book. So be selective on what you want to read.
What
But
time?
this is got everything that needs to be taught to for you to pass your CRS. But what
Okay,
I'm
good.
but even Anthony, even if you go through all of it, the thing is that I've seen people who are unable to get through the exam only because they read too much, or they didn't pay attention to what is discussed in the class. because in my lectures, my intention is to highlight or to go through those parts of the course that are considered most important for passing the exam or for the examiner's interest to put questions um, which actually talks about the same concepts. So when if you go through the classes, regular classes, and go through the recordings, you should be able to pass the exam easily. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
while you're putting effort into it, uh, why worry about 500 pages when you can, do it in a shortcut with. So if you spend, time with these classes and give attention to it is good enough. You'll pass the.
Okay.
Later, you can read the book. You can read my online investigative research also. There is a
Okay.
lot that is given to you already. So, any questions by everybody else? Let me open up this who is online. So, Miranda, Meshti, Joanne, Anthony, Arumi, all of you. If you have any questions for me that I need me to explain, I'd be happy to do that. Okay. So thank you so much for coming today. And I once again, my apologies for the mix up on the schedule timings. And I hope to see you on Monday and hope you have great weekend. Enjoy your weekend and see you all on Monday. Right? Thank you. Bye bye. Take it
Thank
easy. Take care. Bye, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.